Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Doug Beck here with Rich as well. And I think I see the record button, Rich.
Yep, now I'm getting to that. There we go.
All right. Hey, so we're getting a little late start here. So want to welcome everyone to our 1 o'clock biweekly question and answer section that we do on Facebook Live. And we also have a registration process that if you don't know by now, if you look at our Facebook page, you're seeing this probably on our Facebook page, you can see the link to click. And I think when you register for that, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like it has the next bunch of meetings for people to access as well. I don't think it's just today's. So I think they may get a link to access, the next one and the one after that. So the benefit of coming into that would be that you'd actually sort of be inside of the Zoom meeting and you can interact with us that way. We are sort of looking at other ways of streaming. It's one of my items I'm looking into as far as the service. But right now, that's our process that we have. So if you'd like
also too, you can go to our YouTube page. These are all on the YouTube page. You want to see all the question Q&A seminars, our meetups. There's a lot of videos related to real estate investing. It's on our YouTube page. How do they get there, Doug?
YouTube. I mean, one of the ways of getting to YouTube actually, and Rich, you and I probably haven't talked much about this, but if people go to douglasjbeck.com and then that video that's there is actually off of the YouTube channel. It's an intro video to me. So if they click on that video, the link in the top left of it, in fact, I can kind of show you guys real quick.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Let's share my screen. It's going to look kind of funny because I look almost the same except I'm wearing a hat today. But let's see here. So this is the douglasjbeck.com page. That's me. And then this is the introduction. So if you don't know really who I am or what I'm about, what we do, I sort of talk for a couple minutes about everything that I focus on a daily basis and what I do to help other people. If you click on introduction to Douglas J. Beck, if you click on that word, it will actually take you right over to this video. And then this video, if you scroll down a little bit, click on my picture or click on my name, this is our YouTube channel. So we're still growing our subscriber base. It's not, tremendous, but we'd love for you guys to subscribe to our YouTube. We're going to be promoting that more and more as we go on to continue to put out more video content. And like Rich mentioned, there's a bunch of content here, different uploads. If I go to videos, for example, you'll see a bunch of different questions and answers from Rich and myself and some other people as well. Do we have a
playlist set up there, Doug?
Yeah, playlist. There's I don't know why this is there, but Q&A. My kids play on my YouTube, so you might see some guys like the Ryan with the kids' toys. Q&A, Investors First Realty, joint ventures, flip more deals mentorship, some updates and events that we do, title company, joint venture opportunities. Really cool stuff. So like Q&A, for example, this is how much does it cost to buy a house in New Jersey? So that's a question. We got some other questions you could see. And we're adding new content to this constantly. So if you can't catch a live event like this, or you can't get on one of our, our networking events or our presentations, one of the ways of learning and going to our YouTube channel is definitely a great way to start. So that's what I got there. Rich, you have anything else you want to add to that as far as how people?
No, but like you said, there is some great content on there. I know as, starting out in this a couple of years ago, I went on, I used to go on YouTube and watch videos on real estate investing and all that kind of stuff. And I think the one thing that kind of separates us from everybody else is that, not everybody else, but most of the people out there, is that we're doing this every day. We're knee deep in all this stuff. Whether it's wholesaling, whether it's flipping, whether it's, development, we're doing all this stuff where a lot of these videos, these guys are kind of coming to you and giving you this information, but they're not in the trenches every day. They're not doing this stuff every day. And that's kind of one of the, same thing with the, the mentorship program that we provide. One of the good assets of that is that we are doing this every day. I mean, once I'm done with this webinar, I've got, probably 30 phone calls to make and a couple of other meetings to attend to and stuff. And, working with construction and all that stuff. So we're knee deep in this every day. So this is some great information here. Definitely check it out.
Awesome. Cool. So thank you, Rich. I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share for now. And again, the intention for this meeting, we do this every 2 weeks, is that we would have you all participate by submitting your questions either live or prior to, and basically we could address those questions, directly in the meeting. And so I'm not too sure who's here now live, but I would say looks like we're kind of light on the actual Zoom meeting, and on Facebook I'm not too sure either. I'm on Facebook now, although sometimes it's delayed to show me who's actually on there. I think we had a couple viewers. We would definitely appreciate if you guys are getting any value from what we're doing, to be able to share this video with your friends by clicking on that share button on Facebook. If you do see this, even if you see it after the fact, share it with anyone that you think can benefit from it. We believe in the mindset of abundance, and we want to speak openly and share directly with you things that are working and things that are not working, and let you know about them in terms of our businesses and also just life in general. Sometimes there's some key wisdom that we learn from different scenarios. Like today we had a great meeting an hour ago. It started off with one objective, and I think we got that objective handled, but we also I was able to think about what we were talking about a little bit more detailed, and kind of came up with another game plan, which I think will actually help us even further accomplish what we're looking to accomplish. So there's all these different perspectives, but hey, it's a new year. Happy 2021 to everybody. Today's actually my daughter's birthday too. So happy birthday to London, my daughter. She turned 7 today, awesome. January 7th. And it's actually, I told the team, a couple of the guys on the team, it's kind of like the timeline of JDL Ventures being in business, because London was only 3 weeks old when I started the business back in 2014. So it's pretty interesting. It's a blessing. It's humbling. It's exciting, but it's also kind of crazy to think that it's been 7 years now, almost, that we've been in business, and have quite evolved quite a lot. I remember I was sitting in a cubicle 7 years ago. Most of my day, I was sitting next to a phone that I didn't want to answer. I was dealing with, screens in front of me that had privacy filters, so I can, potentially work on different things while I wasn't doing my main focus every day, and not have people complain about it. I had about maybe a 1.5 foot wide space to the outside world besides what was right in front of me. I didn't have a window. I wasn't in an office. I was definitely in a different place, and it really affected. I was also removed from my family, for 8 to 10 hours a day, typically, between commute plus being there, plus stuff after work sometimes, and also commuting. So it was just a whole different lifestyle, and I look back and I say, wow, it's been 7 years since not really 7 years. Actually, I left Johnson & Johnson. It's where I used to work back in 2015. So October 2015. And it was just, it was scary as hell, but it was also a relief, and it's been challenging to say the least, especially in the past 12 months of our business with everything going on in the world. But thanks to the efforts of the team, people like Rich and the rest of the team, we've been able to get through some of the thick of the challenges and really propel forward. So this year we got a lot of really big objectives at our company, really at JDL and also Douglas J. For those of you that don't know, we also have a renovation business, Douglas J Development, that fixes and sells properties. I'm also a partner at a title insurance company. Again, if you want to get more information, you can check us out online. I'm not going to go into too much of those details, assuming that you kind of know a little bit about who I am and who Rich is. If you check out douglasjbeck.com, you'll see a quick video intro, which gives you some more details on our background. I do have right in front of me here actually a printout of some questions that came in from one of our newest clients, coincidentally from our mentorship program. We just had a kickoff session on, I think it was Monday. And these folks are actually in the business. They're already doing deals. They're already, seeing success. They've already had multiple, like probably 5 or 6, 7 closings in the past couple of years. And they got some buy and hold properties, and they've got some fix and flip potential that they want to do. And we're working together now in a mentorship capacity, which is essentially for them like I'm their consultant essentially. So they're coming to me with questions, and also diving in deeper in certain factors of what they're trying to accomplish. And basically, they brought some really good questions to the table when we met, and they gave me some things that I think we could use for today's meeting here. But if you have any questions about how that could work or how we can help you, be sure to check out. You can go to douglasjbeck.com, and there's a link kind of through a couple links, or you can just go to flipmoredeals.com. That's really the direct page to go to, flipmoredeals.com. That's our mentorship and education division, if you would, within the business. So
yeah, and hold on, Doug, real quick before you get into that, just wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
That just anybody that's listening tonight, we do have a meetup at 7 o'clock. It's about scaling your business through technology and systems. And that's just kind of, funny because again, 7 years ago, you started this business. And these are some of the techniques that we'll discuss tonight, are some of the systems and things that we put in place to become where we are now. So it would be, if you guys are interested in that, you're doing 1 or 2 flips, or even if you're doing more and you want to scale up, definitely attend the meetup tonight. It's at 7 o'clock. It's on meetup.com, and we'll go over all that stuff. We'll do a little networking too. So just wanted to do that quick plug. So back.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely, Rich. I appreciate that. And like I said, I may be able to join that. I may not, depending on. My apologies for anyone that was planning on attending that and expecting to see me there for the whole meeting. I sort of after I realized it was, a couple of days ago, I realized it was the 7th. I was like, oh wait, that's not the best date for me personally because of my daughter. So we're probably going to be having dinner and taking my kids out and my wife somewhere fun. So I may not be able to make it, but I know Rich will hold down the fort, and we usually get a good turnout. We usually get 15, 20, 30 people on that meeting. So
yeah, we do get a good turnout, and and one thing that I do stress to all the mentorship students that come in and people that I talk to, and business is great and you should work hard and stuff like that, but families always comes first. No matter what. So, you have a birthday with your daughter, that's more important. I'll hold down the fort. You have a good time with your daughter. Before you know it, she's going to be like 18 and off to college. Dude.
Yeah,
so
don't remind me of that.
Enjoy it, and I'll be able to give you all the things that Doug's going to talk about. We'll have questions and things like that. So, we'll be able to handle it. So,
for sure. Yeah, so the presentation that Rich is going to be using is something that's evolved over time. So it's something that I created probably initially maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it's gotten better and better every time we've updated it because we've learned more about what to do, what not to do, and systems to use, systems not to use, all these different things. So definitely check it out tonight. It's a free event. By the way, it may not always be free. We're considering offering that to only members, and that's more to come as far as how that's going to work. So anyone that's sort of already in the JDL spectrum or the universe of what we do at JDL, stay tuned for more information. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you're not part of it, you can go to our website for free. There's no cost to do that. Just go to our website, jdlventures.com, and sign up on the list to get information about those events, about also deals that are available, opportunities to get involved, educational information and events. But eventually we're going to be offering in a bigger way an opportunity for folks to really plug in to some of the knowledge and know-how and the resources that we offer through a membership program that we have something set up now, but it's not really as well put together as I think what's going to be in the coming months. So stay tuned for that. The meetup event will likely be a part of that. So that being said, thank you, Rich, for reminding us about tonight, and thank you everyone for being here, whether you can catch us live or on the replay. What I'd like to do is there was a couple of questions here, I think, that are very relevant for folks that are in the business, and in terms of like some decisions you may have to make. So I'm going to sort of paraphrase, and I'm not going to obviously tell you who the person is exactly that asked these questions because I didn't get their permission to, but we talked about, for example, tonight. So one of the questions they had was, what are the ways to build a real estate business with efficient systems in place? I mean, the fact of the matter is just a couple of comments on that because Rich brought it up. It's a great point. You could definitely start on a deal by deal basis. Like that's how pretty much everybody who's even been a landlord has started, one house at a time. It's unusual to start where like you go from something that's completely unrelated to real estate, and then you go and you start buying this massive amounts of property right on day one. Your first you buy a package deal of 10, 15, 20 properties. It's just very unusual to do something like that. I don't know anyone that's done that. Maybe if you're coming from the financial space, or if you just have a lot of capital that you need to put into something, then I suppose that could be the case. But usually you're buying one deal at a time. You're buying one project, one renovation, one whatever. Or if you're looking to just start and not take as much risk, you could start with one wholesale deal, which is where you basically flip the contract or flip the opportunity to somebody before you close, or sometimes right after you close, depending on how you structure it. And so, being that you start off one at a time, there's sort of a decision I think some people that are listening to this should consider making here. We have to make it, but you've already made it. In fact, if you don't realize it, is whether or not you're going to focus a lot on systemization in the beginning, or if you're going to treat your business just like another, activity for yourself and just do one project and one thing at a time. Either way, you can win. But the fact of the matter is, I would strongly encourage you to at least become aware of the systems. And so that's what you're going to get tonight. Rich is going to go through that with you, a bunch of different tools and processes that we follow in our business. That's going to allow you to basically propel forward so that when the time comes, that you're ready to actually, begin systemization in a way that's actually relevant to what your current, bandwidth of your business needs. Like you have 5 projects going on, 10 projects, 20, whatever, or you have multiple streams of income in the business that you're trying to organize, or you have a CRM you need, for example, whatever it is, you're going to have to be prepared for that. So I would recommend laying the foundation and becoming aware of it. And then ultimately you can begin to implement when it's right. Some people, they're like, I don't need to worry about that at all. Like, let me just put that on the back burner. I suppose it's okay if you're not really that interested in creating a business and you just more or less want to create an income. That's another distinction I would make for everybody, is that you could definitely create an income of real estate without creating a business. There is a difference in my opinion, right? So like a business has a structure, it has a process to follow, it has typically a team, it has technology, it has certain factors of how it's governed and run. Whereas an income is just more or less like depending upon, the result of something that is an opportunity. And then you realize that opportunity, maybe it's one-off or maybe a few times, whatever, on a certain frequency, but it's not consistent. It's not something that's structured in a way to run and make it run for, by itself effectively. It doesn't have its own life, its own living, breathing process, if you would, necessarily. So, typically people, they trade time for money, and that's what most of us have done or are currently doing. Where we just show up somewhere and do certain things, and then we get paid for that time.
Yeah, and just to jump in here real quick,
please.
It depends on what you're looking for. Like you said, if you just want to do 1-2 flips a year, kind of add to your income and stuff, that's all well and good. But if you do want to take that and create a business and something where you could be making 6 figures or more, you have to start to take into consideration that scaling thing. So a lot of times what I'll tell a lot of new people coming in, I mean, first you've got to set up your basics you need, to get the ball rolling. And you always want to get that first deal. That's the most important thing. But I always say, take about 20% of your time that you're going to allocate to this and work on systems and technologies in it and looking towards the future. And then you can also always increase that as you go, but you should always think about that for the beginning, especially if that's what you want to do and take this to the next level. That you should take some time and do it percentage wise, whether it's 10%, 20%, 30%. And then the rest of the 70%, which what I did is I spent looking for that first deal. And that's how I did. So just want to add that.
It's good perspective now, for sure. Because you don't need to have like all this framework and set up, and then you have nothing really, there's no money coming in. There's no point in doing that either. I think you have to balance it. Like you said, Rich, I think use more of your time to create the income, especially at the beginning of your business, to show that it's possible to do and that you can realize it, right? And then take that and reinvest it, like you're saying.
Yeah, and I don't care how many YouTube videos you watch, until you actually go through the experience of a flip, you don't know much of anything, trust me. And I'm sure you'll back me up on that too.
Yeah.
But getting that first 1 or 2 out of the way, you learn so much, and then you can do 2 or 3 or 4 a year, maybe if you want, or whatever. But go through that experience of doing at least that first one, and I guarantee you will learn more than you can ever learn on YouTube or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say, I mean, to that point, so another question that comes up that's very much related to that is like, with respect to the business versus the income is pretty much like, what do I focus on first? A lot of people ask that question too. Should I focus on, for example, fix and flip? Should I focus on buy and hold? Should I focus on wholesale? Should I do all of the above? And I think that the answer can be found based upon what you're willing to trade to achieve what you ultimately want to create, which in the beginning, a lot of people, they come in, and even if you're in the business, like we have to ask ourselves this question, I think regularly, is like, why am I doing this? What am I trying to create? How much money am I going to create potentially with my strategy? What's my goal? And what's that ultimately going to do for me outside of the business? And so, for example, let's say you have a goal in the next six to 12 months, whatever, to create between $100,000 to $200,000 of income with real estate, which, by the way, is not impossible. In fact, it's very doable. But you have to be willing to trade something to create that new income, right? Because it doesn't just happen. It's not a get rich quick deal. It's not some sort of like random opportunity online that you just click a couple buttons and all of a sudden money starts falling out of the sky. There's real work involved with whatever strategy you pick to get out of the gate, especially. It's like one of my mentors shared with me in the beginning. It's kind of like a train. The train takes a lot of energy to get going on the track. But once that track is laid out, though, and you have a plan, the game plan, you could get that train going. And once it starts moving, it starts chugging along, it gets a little faster. And then when that train is moving, you put a brick wall in front of it, it's going to blow right through. It doesn't matter. But in the beginning, that train won't penetrate a brick wall if it's barely even moving. So if you do have an obstacle like a brick wall in that analogy, that metaphor, you're going to feel like it's impossible to get through it. But that's why you got to get that train moving and really invest the focus and time in getting laser focused, I would say, on one strategy really in the beginning. And so when I meet with a new client for Flip More Deals, for example, one of the first things we do is we pick a focus for at least the first 3 months of our engagement. And we say, for the next 3 months, all we're going to do is focus on this one strategy. We're going to focus on just buy and hold. We're focusing on just fix and flip. We're focused on just wholesale. By the way, I don't really recommend, just want everybody to know, I don't recommend you just focus on wholesale. If I can go back and change one thing in the beginning, I would have definitely liked to have not been focused on just wholesale in the beginning, because I think I left a lot of opportunity of learning and growth and also partnership on the table, but I didn't know any better. And the people that helped me out getting started did a great job, but they didn't know my story exactly. So it's my fault for not, kind of layering what I had going on in my life with what I really wanted to achieve. Because if I had started fixing and flipping when I first got into business, or if I at least went into it with that perspective, and I would have laid out the groundwork for contractors and funding and raising private capital and all this other stuff in the beginning, I would have saved myself probably 2 to 3 years of additional time. I would be 2 to 3 years further ahead with our renovation business than it is right now. Even just if I didn't know deals, if I just knew what to do, or I had experience working with someone else doing it, I would have been 2 or 3 years ahead. So I think it's important to think about your ultimate outcome, right? Think about, as far as focus, defining your focus comes from defining your ultimate outcome for income, but also what strategies you may want to focus on to get to that income level. And I would say that right now, although it's a little bit of a paradox in terms of the largest number of, I would say, people that are entering into real estate investing type strategies, I would say there's definitely going to be an exorbitant amount of landlords, because that's where real estate kind of is known to be, like for renting properties. It's just a known thing. But other than that, if you were to compare and contrast wholesale versus fix and flip, there's a lot of demand for people to do wholesaling because it seems like a simple thing to do, right, Rich? I mean, it just seems like something that people would just...
It sounds like that, but it's not totally true. But also too, I mean, listen, you can do both with a property. So say if you pick up something under contract and you want to flip it, you can also put it out there and try to wholesale it as well before you get the thing going.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. Yeah, exactly.
So you can do both on a property. So if I've got one, I mean, of course, I'm going to be prepared to do the flip. I'm going to get my contractors in line. But at the same time, I'm going to put it out there and see if someone else wants to grab it. And maybe I can make a quick X amount of money and move on to the next one. So, I always kind of went in with the strategy is that I'm going to flip it. But if I wholesale it, then great.
Right, exactly. Yeah, wholesaling, I think that's a new wave, the 2021 way that I'd recommend. And this is all what we're doing internally, and also for anyone that we work with. The intention is to not have wholesale be the focus, because wholesaling is just it's like a bonus or something. I guess you can call it that way. If you pick either I'm going to fix and flip or I'm going to hold, right? Those are the two probably primary strategies, I would say. And then from whichever one, and they have two completely different business models, because fixing and flipping, you're speculating that you're going to have a buyer at a certain price, and you're speculating that you're going to renovate at a certain level and spend a certain amount of money and ultimately create a certain amount of profit, because it's based upon the timeline, et cetera. It's very market dependent and very like other people dependent. With hold, you have the fact of the matter is you are your own buyer, because you don't have to sell it. You're just going to buy it. You're going to rent it out. The buyer, the challenge of identifying your income is going to be a tenant, right? And so with that, you're going to have to obviously market and find tenants, but you may have to do a little bit of renovation. So it's like you're renovating for yourself though, or for the tenant, and you're going to hold that property. So the goal there is to get the appreciation, but also to get the cash flow, of course. And the amount of money you can realize in the period of time that you're looking to realize it is much greater than buying hold. When you're doing fix and flip, it's much greater, because you can get like a 50 or 60 or 70K net profit on a deal in New Jersey, for example, without really, trying that hard. Although caveat to that would be the amount of demand right now is in excess of what it's been since ever. Like it's higher than ever, I would say. And the amount of supply is probably lower than ever, meaning that you have this economic, paradigm where you can't find the opportunities that make sense as easily. And so as much as fix and flip probably is a great strategy to create those big chunky checks to get you like kind of potentially excited about what's coming with the rest of your business in the future, it's more difficult to enter into that. But then again, buy and hold, hey, tenants are not hard to find, although right now people are the unemployment rate's very high. So there's a whole spectrum of like cons and challenges with that.
Yeah, but Doug, everyone's got to live somewhere.
Everyone's got to live somewhere. Exactly.
Even if they're out of a job, they got to live somewhere. So that is a safer way to go. I mean, I think you can always find tenants,
Right.
you know, for things as long as it's priced right. But everyone's got to live somewhere, so that's always my philosophy.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And there's also assistance programs for people that can't afford their rent and stuff like that. So there's also like Section 8. There's all these different tenant assistance programs. So it just, I would say like right now, it's a kind of like in my opinion, right, Rich, you're welcome to think a little differently on this one too. I think it's a tricky time to be a tenant or to be, excuse me, a landlord, because I don't know, I haven't rented a property in quite a while. In fact, I have rental properties in the past, but I haven't tried to find a tenant, although I think that there's probably a good amount of demand in most places. I just don't know with people's, you know, I guess, and look, for those of you who don't know, I live in Florida now. So I'm sitting in Sarasota, Florida, and my family's down here as well. In Florida, it's a different everything, right? I mean, it's still the same. Like there's low inventory, high demand, but I don't know that there's an issue finding tenants down here. I'm saying in areas that have been heavily affected from COVID and from other things in the economic world, people are still unemployed. They're getting assistance, things like things. You might not have as many of like your typical tenant that you want, where they're fully employed, gainfully employed, they have income coming in consistently. It might be just more challenging. I'm not saying that from a current event experience myself, but it's things I'm hearing, right?
Yeah, and just real quick, the biggest, and I'm just being real with everybody out there, the biggest issue right now with tenants and things like that is they don't have, a lot of the landlords do not have the ability to evict tenants, let's say.
Right. Yep.
So because I believe there's a hold on that, and so that's one thing you just have to be careful of. So if somebody decides, hey, I'm not going to be paying you rent, but I'm not leaving either,
you're stuck.
You're kind of stuck.
Yeah,
you know, the thing is, you know, and I know this is maybe not for beginners, but you know, having more of a unit, like either a 4-unit or an 8-unit type of situation, as opposed to a 2-unit or something like that, is much better, because if you do lose 1 or 2 of those tenants, you still have income coming in from the other 6. Whether, you know, and if it's like a 2-family, you lose 1 of those tenants, you only got half your thing, and you're probably, you know, you're going to probably be in a negative cash flow position. But you know, that's just one way to kind of deal with that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, there's pros and cons, and I think even I'm pretty sure that the presentation we have for tonight might even touch upon some of those pros and cons, which we just discussed as well. But at the end of the day, you know, I had this conversation with our new client, and basically I'm sharing with you guys that it comes down to this focus, right? And there's no perfect, I would say, business. I mean, some people can speculate that there is, but I don't know that there really is, the way I would define perfect, at least, where you did nothing and money just starts flowing in as much. You know,
there's going to be challenges in whatever you pick, Doug. You know, whatever there's issues and problems with everything you do, and it's not easy. You know, it's you know, you gotta work hard at it. You want to be successful in this business, or any business for that fact. You got to work your butt off.
Right. Exactly. So to that end, I would say I have about like another 10 minutes myself right here. So I would say, let's pick another question they had here. So, okay, here's a good one. Can fix and flip be turned into a profitable buy and hold? So let's talk about that for a minute, because I think that's a good combination that people should at least be aware of and potentially begin to start looking into execution. So when you do, some people call this the BRRR method, right? So that whereas you're buying, you're renovating, you're renting it out, and then you go to refinance it. So a couple of things. We're not going to talk too much about the financing component, because there are some considerations to make, but considering that we only have about 10 minutes, we're going to talk more about the concept for right now. And then anyone that has any questions can definitely follow up with us. You can reach out to rich@jdlventures.com, or you can post a comment on Facebook or wherever you see this video. If it's on YouTube, eventually put a comment there, or you can reach out to me at doug@jdlventures.com. So rich@jdlventures.com, doug@jdlventures.com. Pretty simple. But we could help you with this as well in more detail. But the fundamentals are, you have a property that, you know, let's say it's a 2-family. I know, Rich, you made a good point. You want to buy more, you know, larger number of units, ideally, if you could afford it. But if, let's say you're starting off with a 2-family,
right.
You know, so I know a guy, actually, coincidentally, a guy who worked with us a couple of years ago, who is a family friend of ours, and he just bought his first 2-family, I think today, in fact, which is really cool. He texted me yesterday. So congratulations to Felipe. So Felipe's, I don't know if he's hearing me or not, but I think he's closing today. So hopefully it goes smooth. But he, you know, for example, he's buying something I think that needs some work done, right? So he's going to buy a property at whatever price, It needs maybe 20, 30, $40,000 to get it to be in the best condition. And the best is defined by whatever your target, tenant would be, or whatever your target space would be for yourself too, because you could also do a house hack here. So you got a couple of options. When you're buying a multifamily, you can keep it as a rental. This is a pure rental. You could potentially house hack it, where you live in one side or one unit, upstairs, downstairs, and then rent out the other one. And then you could also just sell it to somebody else that wants to be a landlord. So that's kind of the nice thing about multifamily, that you could do all those things. You have multiple options that are more kind of like universal, because you could do those things sort of on single family, except for probably house hack. You can't house hack a single family, at least unless you do it illegally, which I don't recommend. Like, you could try to live in the basement, I guess, or something like that, but that probably wouldn't be the best bet. I would say you could definitely, flip it, which is a lot of what people do, single family fix and flip, or you could potentially keep it as a rental, but there's some downside to that as well, although people could debate that. So let's talk about just multifamily. You go into the deal thinking you're going to flip this to a landlord, and then you're like, I don't know, maybe I'm going to keep it. Why should I keep it? Why shouldn't I keep it? Well, basically, when you're doing the renovation in any project, from our experience, that's going to be where you basically build the value in the project, in the property. So by renovating it, by making it better, is where the value creation occurs, meaning that you're going to increase the value of the property. Naturally, it's basically forced appreciation, unless you're doing like nonsense work. Like, if you're just, changing the colors of the walls, you're probably not going to do anything there. If you're just, finishing the floors lightly, we're not really doing anything to them, you're not going to change much value. But if you're redoing the kitchen, you're redoing the baths, you're putting in new electrical, new plumbing stuff, you're fixing problems, you're fixing broken stuff, you're basically putting on a roof maybe, or you're doing windows, whatever. Those are good things that are going to be, updates and upgrades. Those things will add value. So as you add the value, you could obviously sell to a new buyer for that higher value, which I think there's a lot of demand for. That's why people are fixing and flipping and seeing frenzies of offers come in on some of these projects. Or you could basically keep it and know that your appraised value should accelerate much higher than what you got it for and what you have into it. Meaning that when you go to refinance it, right, when you go to keep the property and get your whatever situation you use, whether you bought cash, you bought with hard money, you bought with private money, you bought with, a mortgage, whatever, on the purchase, you're going to go and refinance that out to keep it for long-term financing. So unless you're buying it with a mortgage on the front end and you're planning on just self-funding the renovation, which you could do, and I don't recommend against or for that either way, because it depends on your situation, which we can talk about. It depends on, a lot of things, which we can't get into. But the fact is, if you do that, then I suppose, you would probably know the value, because you're going to have to go through the bank process to get the property. So they may do an as is and after repair value later on, what it's going to be worth when it's all fixed up. But besides that, and maybe hard money, you would know that if you do an appraisal when you go to buy it. But you're going to want to know after you do the renovations, what's this thing worth? And also, the market is moving so fast in most areas that you're going to probably have additional value that you didn't even think you had. So let me give you a quick example of one that I did recently. Well, a couple of years, it was for a couple of years I had it. It was in Somerset County, right? So I bought the property for a little less than $200,000. I think I bought it for like $180 or something like that, which actually included paying a wholesaler. And if you don't know what a wholesaler is, then reach out to us. We can explain that, or you can check out a video we have somewhere. They got their arms around a lot of properties. JDL does some wholesaling as well. And so basically we bought it from this wholesale guy, and we closed on it, and then we renovated. We put probably like $70,000 or $80,000 into this particular property. It's 2-family in Somerset County. And then we kept it as a rental, right? So I got it occupied with tenants. So I did that I did the rehab, and then I rented it out, the second R. We rented it out at market rent, in one case, like a little bit above market rent, because we did such a good job with the renovation. And it was cash flowing every month. So I had a hard money lender financing in place. We were making more than what the obligation was to pay that note every month. And essentially, I worked with that same lender at the time who had offered at that time long-term financing, and we basically refinanced. So now the first loan that I had got reduced down to a lower rate with a longer term, and essentially I was cash flowing nicely, and I could have kept that property for the long term. And honestly, if certain things had happened in my personal life and our business life, and other opportunities came up, if they didn't come up, I would have kept that property probably forever. But the fact is, the market was so good, and certain things were happening in my personal life and my business life, where opportunities were coming into the table, and I needed more cash. I wanted to get that equity that I built out of the property, and I couldn't leverage any more than I'd already done. So we decided to put on the market at a price that we thought was aggressive, kind of like a make me move, like, hey, make me an offer kind of deal. And what do you know? We actually had multiple offers on that property. One being a cash offer that was like, I think $20,000 over. No, it wasn't that much. It was probably $10,000 over asking, but it was definitely like $20,000 or $30,000 more than we thought we would actually sell it for. And it was all cash. So it really was an eye opener that there's a lot of demand for rental properties, multifamily rental properties in good areas. And what it means is that, yes, you can definitely, the question was, can we do more buy and hold? Can we do fix and flips that turn into buy and holds? This was actually, I guess, a buy and hold that turned into a fix and flip, sort of, but it was the best of both, right? So we kept that property for a couple of years as a rental. We built the equity through the renovations and also just holding the property. And then we ultimately sold for a profit. Plus, we also made the income as we own the property. So you kind of get the best of everything, in my opinion, with something like that. So those are the kind of projects I would strongly recommend folks to look at. And not a plug for JDL, but just a definite important note is that if you talk to Rich or talk to someone in our office, they'll get you connected to some opportunities that we get, on a regular basis that sound just like that, where you could renovate a little bit, keep it as a rental, and then or sell it, later on, or sell it right away. So I hope that helps. Rich, what do you think? Anything else I left out on that one?
No, absolutely. I think that's that's great. It works.
Awesome. Cool. So with that being said, I think we'll wrap up for now. We have our meeting tonight, Rich, at 7 o'clock. Maybe if you could put on the Facebook feed or something like that, or have somebody from the office put a comment after this video in case someone catches this video. I think we probably have a promotion on there as well about tonight, right? We have somebody from the Facebook team probably promoted it anyways. But maybe just make sure there's a link there for people to click on. I see the meetup event. So quick note on that, the meetup.com is a great place to go. Last thing I'll say for today, and then Rich, if you have anything else you want to add, meetup.com, great place to go for really, not just real estate, but just in general for business, for personal connections, whatever you're trying to do. I'd highly recommend that you find out more about Meetup. Just go to meetup.com, poke around, do some research and stuff like that. A lot of free events, a lot of great events. It was very cool before COVID because people would literally go out to physical offices or physical locations, different venues. Now, mostly everything is virtual, so it's a little bit different. But if you're looking to find a way to connect with people, just to feel like you're part of a bigger picture of something, and if you're looking to do that with real estate, we're definitely one of the groups that has our own meetup event. We have almost 3,000 members in that meetup group that we run called the New Jersey Real Estate Investing Mastermind. And so if you go to meetup.com and type in NJ Real Estate Investing Mastermind, you'll see all of our events. We do at least once a month, sometimes multiple a month. And so you should check that out, but also check out what other events are out there. Because now this time of year, beginning of the year, you want to start plugging yourself up with knowledge and resources and also connections. Networking and building relationships is super, super important for anything you're doing. And also just to feel connected, in the world that we live in with everything's disconnected as far as not physically in the same place. We're more connected than ever on the computer, but we're not really physically connected to each other as much besides social media. So I think it'd be a great opportunity for anyone looking to reconnect with other like-minded people out there and whatever you're looking to accomplish. And if you think that you want to do some real estate investing, definitely reach out to us on ours. And we'll see you there tonight at 7 o'clock. Rich, anything else you want to add?
No, and like you said, Meetup is a great place to start because one of the most important things in this business is networking and talking to people and meeting new people. And I do miss going to the events with the free food and the free drink. But
yeah, exactly,
I'll have a donut and a beer in my house tonight while I'm doing this.
It's a nice night out for those events.
But, yeah, exactly. So I do miss that. But yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of good virtual events here. We're gonna have a great one tonight as well. There's a lot of people that we have subscribed to us. There's a lot of people there you can network with. So join up, network, and meet more people, and become successful.
Very cool, good stuff. So again, for those of you that are checking this video out live, that's the event tonight. And then for those of you that catch the replay, if you wish you were here live, just make sure you reach out to us. You can reach out to Rich at JDLVentures.com or Doug at JDLVentures.com. You could also go to our Facebook page, and then every second Thursday or every 2 Thursdays, I guess you could say, we hold this event, this little networking or Q&A session. And then we also have a monthly networking event / virtual event that we're doing tonight, which I think is on the first Thursday of every month. So that being said, we appreciate you being here, and we hope to talk to you all real soon. And good luck out there. God bless, and make 2021 your best year ever. And we hope we could be a part of it in some way. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Doug. Talk to you soon, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
So long, guys.